Where is the wise man? Where is the scholar? Where is the philosopher of this age? Get down! Baltimore!
What are they getting?
Everything out of me. They gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that.
All right, welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown podcast. It is Sunday night, October 2nd, 8:21 p.m. My name is Jake Luke. I'm joined on my screen by Zeej Batman. Spenny could not join us here tonight after having himself play today, so I'm sure he'll be hopping on here, maybe doing some film review stuff. Maybe I'll hop on with him at some point throughout the week. But how you doing, Zeej?
I'm good. I'm sorry about the low light. I'm trying to find the best spot. It's a little.
It feels a
shaky
little
right now.
There's a little bit of a horror movie vibe going on here. I got to be honest.
Well, you know what? I'm just really getting into the whole ZJ Batman thing. I'm really getting into the Batman Darkness thing.
Yeah, you are. The element is out there, and you're
the element is out there.
Yeah. So yeah, you're in a car. So for anyone kind of wondering about the production quality there, that you sound fine. There's a little bit of an echo, but I think we're going to get through this thing. And you're going through a weird time right now with the hurricane and everything. You're down there in the southeast. I don't want to put you on blast, but
sorry.
No, you're fine. How's
No, it was good. So for people that don't know, I work in the EMS community. So I'm in South Carolina. I was lucky enough that Ian hit just north of where we were. It was supposed to hit right on Charleston, but it moved up. So we got pretty lucky here. Had to run a lot of calls. We were really busy for a good 72-hour period where we were running everything. But yeah, it's been a busy weekend for us. So it's but blessed to have no real problems considering everything that could have happened.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I guess just jumping right into it, I mean, we felt the residuals of it up here, not in any sort of serious way. I mean, Ocean City actually did get a little bit of flooding today, some coastal flooding, I guess, coming in off of the coast there, getting into the streets. But other than that, the only residuals we felt today were the ghost of Ian, I think, as Tony Pan was putting it today on Twitter, hitting that Ravens game. And it was a weird feeling being at the game because I kind of punted on tailgating a little bit. I'll be honest. I was afraid of the weather kind of. So I showed up to the tailgate a little bit late, didn't get any rain really whatsoever out there, had a couple beers, and then walk over to the stadium. And it was still kind of dry for the most part up until kind of that little bit through the first quarter, I would say. Then it started to just kind of come down. And it reminded me a lot, Zeej, of that Steelers game at the end of last season. Just a consistent, just light, and at times driving rain. It just a soggy sorrows to the max. And that was kind of reached its nadir with the way that they lost this one today. Going into the half, I believe, up 20-10. It really could have been a lot worse than that, but offense had their issues, and they just couldn't really put anything together outside of a couple of drives where they were given a short field. Defense, they did their thing for the most part, but I wouldn't say they collapsed, but they just they were up against it with that Buffalo offense on the last drive, which was put together by sort of the call of the game, the capstone of the game. Ravens get down to, a goal-to-go situation. I think they run to the right on the first play. They get knocked back into like a 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4 situation, and they don't really do anything with that, and they wind up in like a 4th and goal to go from the 4. Harbaugh makes a call to go for it. Lamar Jackson takes a snap, sort of fades away with Devin Duvernay being the intended target. He still throws it his way. Jordan Porter comes in, makes the interception, and that sets the Bills up with a touchback. Pretty much the exact worst thing that could have happened on that play was the Bills picking it off in the end zone and getting that touchback, and they do it. Buffalo goes right down the field. They kind of handle the clock masterfully there. The Ravens could have had a chance ultimately. They tried to have a chance and, let them score and everything, but ultimately Buffalo sets themselves up to kick the game-winning field goal. 23-20 is the final score. They get that. That was their first lead of the game, was when the clock hit triple zeros there, which is pretty wild. Another sort of blown lead, I guess you could say, for the Ravens. I think the tenor played out a little bit differently than maybe people would expect. Thought this defense played pretty well. I thought the offense really is going to have to shoulder the share of the blame. And I think John Harbaugh's got to shoulder the share of the blame here too. But that's all stuff we're going to get into. What is your instant reaction to this one?
If you told me any week against any team that the opposing team only scored 23 versus a Lamar Jackson-led team, I'm thinking the Ravens win. So that first off should tell you a lot. Like, the defense did their job, especially when you're considering it's against Buffalo and you held them to 23 points. That's pretty damn good. You're gonna come away with that feeling good, especially if you have a win. Offense just stalled out. 0 points in the second half is inexcusable in every way, shape, or form. At one point, the lead was 20-3, and you're thinking, like, you're knowing, like, Buffalo eventually is going to get something going. Like, they're going to find some way. But the run game was working early for the first time all season, and you're up 20-3, and you're thinking, all right, Buffalo will have their possessions, but just leak the clock out, put up points each drive. Even if you put up a field goal each drive, Buffalo's not going to get the ball enough if you run the ball well and drain the clock enough to be able to come back. They're not going to be able, like, you're keeping the ball out of Josh Allen's hands. He can't score if you keep it out of his hands. So the fact that, again, it just slipped away is, again, another thing that I think makes this hurt more than it really should, considering that 2 weeks ago we full well expected them to lose this game.
Yeah, definitely. It's I'm not as heated at this one as I was at the Dolphins game, for example. I think I got on that one and it was just an absolute live wire of anger because I think that game spoke to a systemic issue of blowing leads and kind of just a frantic energy around this team in late in games where they just couldn't clutch up. And, that happened to an extent today. I think that definitely did happen a little bit. I think it happened with John Harbaugh. Not really on the fourth down call. I don't mind the fourth down call very much because, Buffalo went right down the field anyway. So, like, you kick a field goal there, I'm still not comfortable that they don't just drive right down the field and score a touchdown. They probably could have scored a touchdown on that drive, and they really should have because the Ravens wanted to let them score. And for some reason, Oweh made that tackle. And I think, God damn it, love autoplay video. But I think that speaks to the issue right now to me. John Harbaugh's just got to be so much better than he is right now. Like, these guys are not playing smart football. They're not playing procedurally good football, particularly on offense. It killed them today. I don't have the stats in front of me. I wanted to have them, but fucking ESPN has to have the stupid autoplay up, so I couldn't pull up the stats. But, all these procedural penalties on offense, and the refs were bad too, and we're going to get into that, but it's absolutely killing them. They're shooting themselves in the foot. And that used to be like the Greg Roman was the scapegoat for that. The players to an extent are a scapegoat for that. But now it's like, you got to play more disciplined. And John Harbaugh, that's on you, man. Like, you're my guy. And, like, I called you out after that Dolphins game and you had a big bounce back against the Patriots. But kind of feels like here we are again. And I'm okay with losing to the Bills. They're, to me, the top dog in the AFC right now. I'm okay with losing a game to them. But you choked one away again here, and you're 2-2, and you're figuring things out. And I think to an extent, this September month was kind of their preseason, but you come out of it at 2-2. Rest of the AFC North is, I believe, going to be at 2-2 as well. So, there's plenty of runway in front of you here, but there's issues to be worked out here right now. This is not all sunshine and roses. John Harbaugh has to be better than he's been through these first 4 games.
Absolutely. The fact that they couldn't close out against again, I don't care what team it is. If you against any team get up 20-3, you've got to find a way to close it. You have to. It's especially when it's a team as good as Buffalo and you get, I'm not going to say lucky enough because it didn't look lucky. It looked like procedural drives, good defense with takeaways, and they fought their way up to 20-3 and just couldn't close. The offense couldn't figure out a way to they score one more time there, and it's a completely different game. They put up one score, whether a field goal or a touchdown at some point in the second half, and we're talking about a different game. We're talking about a 3-point loss in a game where the Ravens didn't score in the second half.
Yeah, and that's really, really what it comes down to. And I think, like, ultimately the difference was the two offenses today. And, like, the Bills offense was not great today. Like, they started out with, I think, their very first drive, Allen throws an interception to Humphrey, who's had quietly a very, very nice season to start the year here when he's been on the field. When he's not been on the field, it's been a disaster for them. So he needs to continue his great run of play. So shout out to him. shout out to Oweh for forcing the fumble there on, I forget which Buffalo running back it was, but I think it was 2 drives after that. Ravens forced 2 turnovers out of nowhere. And then, like I said, offense gets a short field and they capitalize with 2 J.K. Dobbins touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air with one of those little Mickey Mouse shovel pass touchdowns that I rag on the Chiefs for running so much. And now that, I'm getting some benefit out of it, I kind of like it. But yeah, it's on the offense today, man. It is on the passing game in particular. And I get it. It was shitty out there, but Buffalo got just enough through the air, right? Like they got just enough out of Diggs. They got just enough out of Josh Allen doing what he needed to do. Little teardrop pass there to, I think, Dawson Knox on the last drive over to defenders who were not communicating properly, which was another kind of issue on defense. But again, I'm not putting this on them. Rashad Bateman, man, like he might be out the next couple of weeks, but show the fuck up.
Didn't look good.
Show the fuck up, man. Like you're dropping passes. Like you drop multiple passes. That one that he dropped was just kind of the killer, that last gasp for the offense, in my opinion, where he's wide open. It looked like he was going to have room to run like he did against Miami. Clanks off his hands. Like I get that Lamar kind of fired it in there. It was wet out there. He was still wearing the gloves. So just, yeah, just a brutal game from Rashad Bateman, who I love, who is off to a good start. And we don't have to make a referendum on it or anything, but you just got to be better than that if you're going to be a go-to guy in this offense, and he's going to need to be.
He wants to be the guy. He's talked about it. He said like when Hollywood got traded away, it was like, oh man, that's my guy. He's gone, but this is my time. Like this is why I'm here. And you see the guy in Buffalo, Stephon Diggs, making these great catches in the rain. If you want to be that guy, you've got to make the catches like that. You've got to find a way to come down with the ball and help your team out. And he couldn't. We're here kind of ragging on him a bit because he had a bad game, but God, I sure hope he isn't out that long. That boot that he walked out of the stadium with, I don't know if you saw that video, but
I did, yeah.
That certainly didn't look good. Hopefully that's nothing too serious and they're just being a little precautionary. But
one thing I will say too, him and Oweh, they refused to talk to the media in the locker room today. Like, be better, guys.
Not good.
Be better than that. Like, straight up. Like, you just got to be better than that. Like, and if you're gonna go out there, go ahead.
Oweh needs to come clean about what happened. Like,
yeah,
Marcus Williams threw his pretty much did the fakest tackle you could ever do. Calais Campbell throws his hands up. All these guys are ready to let the running back go into the end zone. Oweh comes screaming from across the field, like he was nowhere near the play. Comes screaming from across the field and just drops him. I think I heard somebody say that the play call was either let him score or go for the strip, and I think Oweh said that he was trying to go for the strip or something.
Yep.
But if you're going to go for the strip, you got to give a better effort, man. I didn't even notice him trying to go for the strip. All I noticed was the running back falling to the ground, and I'm sitting there like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, I think
he had plenty of time for Lamar.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he was doing, was going for the strip. And I don't know, man. Like I get wanting to make a play, and he's made those plays in those moments before against the Chiefs. He made the one earlier in the game, like I mentioned. He's been capable of doing that before. So I guess I applaud the hustle, but at the same time, like these guys are just like it's an issue with the defense. And again, we're not going to rag on the defense too much here today, but talk about systemic issues. I mean, there were some moments today where you had Hamilton and Williams and Peters doing the thing that they were doing against the Dolphins, and I was like, oh God, here we go. And to their credit, they knuckled up a little bit when they needed to, but that was just another moment where it's 10 guys thinking one thing and one guy's thinking another thing, and that is just kind of what kills them. And
that seems to be the issue with this team. Like, just it's one guy out of the 11 that seems to just not know the assignment or not know the drill, and it just seems to break down the whole play, and it can't keep happening.
No, exactly. And I guess that was a killer there. I mean, I guess what would have happened was you would have Buffalo go up 27-20. Ravens probably would have gotten the ball back with about 1:45, 2 timeouts. So you're talking about reasonably that they'd have time to drive down there and score a touchdown. But then what happens? They're going to go for 2, and then, who knows if they get it or not. And then, goddamn, can you imagine if they had driven down the field, scored a touchdown, gone for 2 and not
gone for 2 and not gotten it again? Pittsburgh 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been the exact same conversation that we're having right now, though, right? Wouldn't it?
So, I've been getting into a lot of arguments. I agree with John Harbaugh's touchdown. My personal opinion, I get it. I also understand the field goal. I understand putting up the points, but in my opinion, you have a quarterback who, for the last 3 weeks, we've been talking about at playing at an MVP level. I'm sorry, versus this defense, which again they played good today. They got this defense as a whole over the season versus Lamar Jackson, I'm putting my life into Lamar Jackson's hands every time, without a doubt. It doesn't matter what defense is on the field any year. I'm probably always going to give Lamar Jackson the chance. That's just why he's Lamar. At the end of the day, field goal versus touchdown, it is what it is. I would have been pissed at the 2-point conversion. I think the John Harbaugh blame comes in when you look at the entirety of the game. Again, the goal line decision is what it is. But the challenge for the 4th and inches, when I think it was a first down, but if you're going to go for it anyways, why challenge and waste the timeout?
Yeah, and how did they go out and beat the Chiefs last season, which was kind of the same spot that you were in, where you're going up against this high-powered AFC team and you're not expected to win? They go for it over and over and over and
over again, because you have to.
Yeah, and they get it all those times. So I get it. I totally get it. Like, the execution, it was there, it was perfect, and they didn't get the breaks today. But I am 100% on board with believe in your guys, instill that belief, go for it, and try to build that momentum. If they hit on 1 or 2 of these, then all of a sudden things are gonna. I think the script might flip a little bit, but it definitely does. It does hurt when it doesn't work. And I mean, it's kind of the conversation you have to have. I also don't like Harbaugh going up there in front of the media and saying, oh, well, there was this and that, but yeah, I guess I understand that's why we did it. And he punted it a little bit when in his comments.
Yeah, and he said, in hindsight, we should have gone for 3 points. No, if you're going to stick with what you did, stick with it and go on. That's one of the things that I've loved about Harbaugh, is that he stands by his decisions. He may not always be right. They may frustrate us, but the thing is that he's always been a stand-up guy about what he's decided.
He punted it
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah, he punted it to the analytics a bit too, where he was like, oh, well, yeah, I can see why we did it. It's like, no, John, like it's, hey, we did it because I wanted to fucking do it. It's my decision. I believe in my players. We're going to go for the win every single time. And like Mark Andrews, to his credit, he goes up there and says, comment that I don't fully understand, but I like, is that, I'm a dog. I like to be aggressive. That would have been a great t-shirt if this turned out to be a win. But I didn't love John's comments to the media in that respect. I think he owned up to things pretty well, but that was kind of one thing that caught my ear a little bit wrong. And then, Oweh and Bateman just not talking to the media. It's leaving a little bit of a bitter taste in the mouth right now. So these guys have a lot of shit to work on. And, as far as what played out on the field today, to your point, I'm okay with going forward on 4th down 100 times out of 100. But yeah, it's the procedural stuff. It's just dying by a million paper cuts. You're just bleeding yourself to death with a false start here, with a holding penalty there, with this and that. It's just too undisciplined, and that starts with Harbaugh.
Yeah, it was a lot of, I'm mad a lot right now about the run game. Like, the run game looked so good, the best it has, and it felt like they just couldn't get it going. But a lot of it is like Tyler Linderbaum having 3. I've never seen a center have so many false starts. I didn't realize that a center could false start, because when the center goes, the play starts. It's normally that simple. I've never seen that whole lean back before you snap it thing. That was bewildering.
Yeah, I think it might have had something to do with the rain, honestly, because he was double clutching a lot, and I don't know if they were doing a silent count or something, but he was not on the same page for sure. So yeah, that was definitely weird. But yeah, I mean, the running game did look good. I mean, goddamn, Justice Hill looked really good, and then he comes up gimpy on his biggest run of the game, and he leaves, and that was kind of it for him. But Dobbins looked good as well. Jackson, I think, made a couple plays on the ground. I mean, the running game is fine now, especially from where it was a couple weeks ago, where we were saying, what is Greg Roman's value to this team right now, even if they can't run?
I couldn't have been more wrong. I was like, yeah, sure, JK's going to come back, but what is JK going to do for a scheme that's not? I was wrong. JK came back, and everything seems to be working now. I'm a freaking idiot. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. The run game is fixed with JK and Hill. Hopefully Hill's thing isn't serious. I haven't heard any word on that. I don't know if you have.
No, I haven't, and I actually just searched on Twitter, and I still didn't see anything. So I thought I saw some hamstring speculation, but I think that was just from watching the TV copy. So I don't think there's anything expert analysis there. So hopefully he's doing well, man. I've been singing his praises. He's been one of these spark plugs on an offense that has needed it at times. And JK, I think, looked good in that role as well, but it just seems like he's on a pitch count right now, and I think for good reason. It looked like he was kind of gassed at the end of this game.
Oh, sure, no doubt. I think that's why Hill was so important, is because JK needs to stay on a pitch count for a little bit. And now if Hill is gone, I don't know where you turn. I mean, neither Mike Davis nor Kenyon Drake has looked great with the ball in your hands. Do you go to a practice squad guy maybe? Do you hope Hill is all? I mean, if Hill isn't, all I'm gonna say is that Hill's thing looked strangely familiar to what happened to Sterling Shepard on Monday Night Football last week. So
Yeah, which that wound up being an ACL, so you don't want that.
no, that's why I am especially worried.
Yeah, yep, no doubt. So I guess that's all of that, and then obviously, the sort of the boiling point was reached between Harbaugh and Marcus Peters, who I was this like at the exact end of the game, or was it after going?
I think it happened. No, I think it happened right after the Oweh tackle. Like as soon as Oweh came off, I think Marcus Peters came screaming off the field.
Right.
It might have been after the kneel downs or something, but it was either right after the Oweh tackle or right after like the team was coming off the field for the kick or something.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird. Like the TV angle was kind of strange to like watch because it didn't like people were saying they were getting in their face, and like I believe everyone who like said that they saw it happen, but like the TV like doesn't really necessarily show them in each other's face. You kind of see them yelling individually, and then Peters getting pulled away. Yeah, and it just seems like it was kind of some frustrations about guys not being on the same page, perhaps, and like the defense being put in a tough spot there after the fourth down. It just seems like frustrations boiled over. Peters got in Harbaugh's face, and who knows what was said or exchanged, but Harbaugh, to his credit, I think spoke to it after the game and said, I'm a Marcus Peters guy. I hope we're going to get past this, and I believe that we will. Something to that effect. I don't have the quote in front of me, but yeah, that's not what you want after a week 4 game. I do believe that it'll be fine. They'll get over it. I think that's what you get with Marcus Peters. When it's going good, it's going good. But he's not going to be afraid to speak his mind, and I have no problem with it, which I'm sure is what you were about to say. I have no problem.
No, I love it.
Yeah, I have no problem with him like standing up for the defense there because they did what they needed to do in this game, and like it's to my point and to your point as well that it's the procedural penalties, death by 1,000 paper cuts. That all goes back to Harbaugh, and the miscommunications on the defense that reflects on him poorly as well. So somebody's got to speak up a little bit, and I'm okay with him being one of those guys.
Yeah, that's the whole reason you bring Marcus Peters in is he is that dog on the defense. There's nobody on this team. I mean, maybe Mark is like that, but I don't think Mark gets that animated. Lamar doesn't get that animated. Nobody gets like fired up, like just kind of like outspoken like Marcus Peters does, and I think that's what he brings to this team. And I want to see it when it like again, I'm not dissolving John Harbaugh from this is John Harbaugh's loss this whole game. So somebody needs to get in his face and is like, all right, this is 2 home games in a row. We've let up 17-point leads. We need to get this fixed. And if it's Marcus Peters, it's Marcus Peters. I don't think it's about the 4th and goal call. I don't see why the defense wouldn't buy into that. I mean, how many times has Lamar Jackson won the game for them? Like Marlon said after the game, he was like, no, we were bought into the 4th down call. We love it. We love our offense. We as the defense should have closed up. And it is what it is. That's that Buffalo offense. I think the defense was probably gassed at that point. I wish they had held, but
yeah, I mean, Jeff Zaribek tweets at 6:45 p.m. Dating back to last year, the Ravens have now lost 5 consecutive home games. They've done it by a total margin of 12 points. The Bengals are in town next Sunday night. I mean, that's just unheard of with the Ravens. I mean, and people give this town a lot of shit, I think, for not showing up to games at times and attendance this and whatever that. I don't know. The game seemed well attended to me, but give them something to cheer for. Like it's been over a year at this point since I've felt genuinely pumped up to be in that building about a game that I feel like they're going to win, no doubt. And it might have even been before that since I actually felt super confident about something. So I don't know, man. Give them something to cheer for is kind of my take on that, and give them a win. And for the record, I think they are going to get this thing on track, but I think that just speaks to how much they're still recovering from the insane shit that went on in the second half of last year.
They're getting lucky this year. The whole AFC North seems to be trying to figure out whatever this fucking season is. Everybody's trying to figure this shit out. So they're getting lucky right now. They're having time to be able to put stuff together. But yeah, I mean, I'm in South Carolina. I want to get to a Ravens game this year. I managed to get to the Colts game last year. Amazing, the greatest live sport event I've ever attended was that Colts game. But for me, I've got to fly up or drive up. I've got to figure I've got to stay with my parents and I've got to get down. I got to take time off of work. it's an ordeal for me. And I was like, they were up 20-3, and I was like looking at Bengals tickets. I'm like, and then after this, I'm like, yeah, until they win at home, I'm not coming up there. Like, there's no reason for me.
Yeah,
And it's because they need to start figuring out a way to get butts back in the seats, and they need to do that by winning. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and you got to win at home. You can, and it's an amazing stadium experience. And like I'll go to games even when they're not in the hunt. Really, I did that last season down the stretch when they were losing all those fucking games. I sat in the rain for that Steelers game in week 18 or whatever. How many ridiculous amount of weeks that are getting tacked on here because the NFL just needs to make all the motherfucking money in the world for no reason.
Give them another bye week.
Yeah, but
that's a whole different conversation.
No, that's a whole nother podcast entirely for sure. But yeah, just give us something to cheer for here. Like let's go ahead and honestly, like I said, bringing it all back, like that was the best the AFC has to offer. And Bills fans, by the way, and Bills social media, you guys were having a lot of fun today, and I hope you had a lot of fun today. This was a massive win for you apparently, and Josh Allen's going to go be the MVP, and you're going to go win the Super Bowl because you got this win. I guess that's huge for you. And I don't want to be like this is your Super Bowl guy because the Bills are the better team, I think, but I'm issuing a fatwa on the Bills right now. This is just unacceptable, uncouth behavior by the Bills and their fans. Some of the behavior that I saw today, it was not the wholesome Bills Mafia jumping through table stuff. I didn't like it. Didn't like what I saw, and I did not like using the Omar whistle. And I think their whole family's going down, like the O'Doyle Rules family, just going off the cliff in the station wagon. I'm gonna be there when the train comes to the final station for the Bills, and I am gonna be beer in hand and celebrating their downfall.
You're gonna be Newman there as Jerry takes his stand.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna. That's a good call out. Yep, that's my.
I just finished watching Seinfeld, so that's why that popped into my head.
Oh, there you go. That's at least you got something good for you going on in your life.
Tell you what, here's what we have to cheer for. The defense, just everything we talked about. The defense did look good today. I mean, this was the Bills offense that has been rolling over teams for going on pat to last year, and then like Stephon Diggs, beyond a couple of really good couches, once again, pretty much held to nothing like that playoff game in 2020.
Dude, it was just the Josh Allen shit that he does, where he just takes the snap and he just steps around in the pocket a little bit, eludes the rushers, and then just scrambles. He did that multiple times today, and like that was kind of the extent of their offense to me. Like you said, Diggs made a couple plays, Dawson Knox with the one big one. They didn't do anything on the ground. It was all Allen scrambling, and like that's Lamar should have done more of that, in my opinion. That probably would have been made him the more. I don't even know what I'm saying, but it's just like Allen looked like he was in a different class than Lamar today because he was just willing to cut it loose and put it all on the line. And that's kind of what their offense is sometimes. It is that at the very least, like when it's
erratic. It's erratic. You're just.
And when they're facing what I think would, could be classified as a good defense, which they got held to 23 points today. That doesn't happen very often. With the way the Ravens offense is played, you would think holding a team to 23 points would be enough, but it's just kind of like when they have one thing, they don't have the other so far through 4 weeks.
It really seems like that when the defense is playing well through the first half of the game, the offense can only manage to put up some amount of points. And then today, like the third quarter was just disaster. Like there was 3-4 scoring drives by the Bills in a row, and then the offense just put nothing up, and it kind of all crumbled down. That first quarter, if they could play every game like that first quarter, they'd be 4-0. They'd go on. They'd win Super Bowls and get all the accolades in the world. That first quarter was the prettiest quarter of football I've seen the Ravens play in a long, long time.
There you go. Well, yeah, I guess that's that. Ravens lose 23-20 after having a 20-3 lead at one point in the first half. Give up the touchdown there right before the half. Don't do anything with it in the second half. And that is all she wrote from Charm City today. Zeej, any closing thoughts before we get on out of here?
People need to step up and answer for what happened. That's my final.
Yeah, I'm with it, man. Yeah, I'm done policing the fan base. I'm done telling people how to feel. Like this is just you got to win games like this ultimately. And I'm not blown that they didn't. I think 2-2 was in the budget for a lot of people. I probably predicted them to be 3-1, but I think 2-2 is fine. a lot of football left to be played. AFC North is nothing really that impressive to write home about, I don't think. So they'll be in it, but, they're not necessarily a class above anybody right now. So I think, Chiefs aren't that great. They lost to the Colts. Bills aren't that great. They spun the last couple weeks, we've seen from them, including today. So I think long-term they're going to be just fine, but they got some
Eagles are 4-0, but they struggled against Jacksonville, and I don't think Jacksonville's a pushover anymore, but it's still Jacksonville.
Yeah, who the Ravens have to go and play in Jacksonville. So, some games look easier than others at, when the schedule comes out. Like that Broncos game probably looked harder than, the Jacksonville game. Now that might be reversed. But, ultimately it's going to be a long season. I don't think anybody needs to be fired at this point, contrary to what others might think. But there's a lot of shit that needs to be worked out, and it starts with John Harbaugh. That's my thing right now. So that's all I've got, if that's all you've got tonight, brother.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me amidst your lunch break there in the
yes, sir.
The EMT community.
In the dark.
Just killing it out there in the dark. You are there's something in the way down there, it would seem. So thank you for joining me, pal. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm sure we'll chat again on here very soon. Where can the people find you and your stuff?
At perp_blackveins. You can find all my writing at Baltimore Beatdown. And this is pretty much the only podcast I talk on, so listen to me here.
There you go. Well, thanks again, pal. You can follow the show, guys, at Podcast Beatdown. You can follow me at Jake Luke. That's LOUQUE. Thanks for listening, guys. Definitely another tough one today, but they're going to be back on the horse tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next week. Sunday Night Football against the Bengals. The big old game that they're going to have to go and win. And you know what? I'm confident that they're going to do it. I'm going to predict right now that they're going to get back on track next week. So we'll see what happens.
3-2 is going to feel really good. 3-2 will feel really good after all this.
3-2 can't get here soon enough. But until then, we will talk to you guys later.
Where is the wise man? Where is the scholar? Where is the philosopher of this age? Get down! Baltimore!
What are they giving? Everything out of me. They gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that.